Welcome back to the Ancestral Findings podcast. Every year on October 31st, children walk door to door collecting candy while wearing costumes. The custom feels old and familiar, but it has a real history. Trick or treat did not appear overnight. It grew slowly, shaped by the lives and traditions of many families who came to America from other countries. For genealogists, this story adds useful background to family history. It helps date family photos, record memories, and understand how communities changed over time. This episode follows trick or treat from its earliest roots to the way families still enjoy it today. The earliest roots of Halloween reach back to seasonal customs in Ireland, Scotland, and parts of England. Long before the United States existed, families marked the end of harvest and the beginning of winter. They gathered for food, lit fires for warmth and safety, and remembered loved ones who had passed away. As time went on, church days called All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day were added to this same season. The old and new blended together. People visited homes offering prayers or songs in exchange for small cakes or food. In Scotland, this practice was called guising. In England and Ireland, it was known as souling. These were community gatherings meant to bring comfort and connection during colder months. They were family traditions, not spiritual or dark practices. Their purpose was togetherness and remembrance, the same feelings families value today when they gather for holidays. Irish and Scottish immigrants brought these customs to the United States during the 1800s. They settled in both large cities and small towns, sharing traditions that soon mixed with local harvest events. Halloween became a time for children to dress up, play lighthearted pranks, and enjoy sweets or small gifts. By the early 1900s, American families were adding their own touches. Children in costume went door to door, receiving fruit, nuts, or coins. The event did not yet have the name trick or treat, and not all towns took part, but the custom was taking shape. The words trick or treat first appeared in Canada around 1917. In the United States, the phrase began showing up in newspapers by the late 1920s. A Michigan article from 1928 described children calling out tricks or treats. During this period, Halloween was still known for pranks. Young people soaped windows or moved yard gates, which caused problems for homeowners. To reduce the mischief, towns encouraged families to give children small treats instead. This made Halloween a friendly community event that brought families together. World War II brought sugar rationing, and candy was hard to find. Families gave fruit or homemade snacks to children who came to the door. After the war, things changed quickly. When peace returned, candy became widely available again. Suburban neighborhoods grew, filled with young families and children. Homes were close together, and sidewalks made walking safe. Parents felt comfortable letting children visit nearby houses. By the 1950s, trick or treat had become a regular part of American life. Through the 1950s and 1960s, trick or treat became common across the country. Television shows and magazines showed children in costumes carrying bags of candy. Candy makers created smaller, individually wrapped pieces to sell for Halloween. Porch lights became a signal that a home welcomed visitors. Some towns made local changes. A few held Beggar's Night on October 30th to give children their own evening. Others set afternoon hours for safety. Every place did it a little differently. But by the end of the 1960s, trick or treat had become a familiar sight throughout America. In earlier years, families handed out homemade cookies, apples, and popcorn balls. By the 1970s, more people preferred store candy because it was quicker to prepare and safer for large crowds. By the 1980s, wrapped candy had become the standard treat for trick-or-treaters. If you study old family photos, this shift can help you tell when the picture was taken. Homemade goodies suggest the 1950s or 1960s. Plastic pumpkins and bags of wrapped candy usually point to the 1970s or later. Halloween customs provide useful clues for family history research. They show how people lived and what their communities were like at different times. Ask older relatives about their childhood Halloweens. Find out what they wore, where they went, and what they received. The type of treat or costume often helps date the story. Look closely at Halloween pictures. Homemade costumes made from old clothes usually mean early 1900s through the 1940s. Store-bought boxed costumes and thin plastic masks often mean the 1950s and 1960s. Plastic buckets and name-brand candy appear in later decades. Search town newspapers and newsletters for early mentions of trick-or-treat. Some towns listed official hours, others announced parades, parties, or contests. These short notes show when the tradition reached your area. For families who arrived from other countries, taking part in trick-or-treat showed how they joined in American customs. Small moments like greeting children at the door show how a family became part of its community. In small West Virginia towns, trick-or-treat had a special charm. I remember my mom and dad driving me through different parts of our little town. They parked and let me walk through quiet neighborhoods while the air was cool and the porch lights glowed. I carried my bag from door to door, hearing the laughter of other children nearby. One year, I realized that my schoolteacher lived right there in town when she handed me Tootsie Rolls with a smile. Those nights were full of simple fun, familiar faces, and a safe sense of community that has always stayed with me. This kind of memory reminds us why these traditions matter. They show how family, neighbors, and shared events link generations together. Here's a useful timeline. Before 1900, European customs such as souling and guising take place. Immigrants later bring them to America. 1900 to 1920, costumed visits begin appearing in some towns. Treats are fruit, nuts, or coins. 1920s through the 1930s, the phrase trick or treat appears in North American newspapers. Communities organize friendly events. The 1940s, war rationing limits sugar and candy. Families continue with fruit and homemade treats. 1950s through the 1960s, candy companies promote Halloween. Suburban life helps spread the tradition. 1970s through the 1980s, wrapped candy replaces homemade snacks. Costumes are colorful and often store-bought. The 1990s to today, newer forms such as trunk or treat appear, but the main idea stays the same. Children visiting homes and collecting candy in safety. Here's how to use this information. Record family memories. Ask older relatives about their earliest Halloweens. Organize photos. Label each one with the year, costume details, and location. Search newspapers. Find the first local mention of trick or treat or a Halloween parade. Create folders. Keep stories, clippings, and photos for each town where your family lived. Add context. Write short notes that explain what life was like during those years. These steps help preserve family traditions and make your genealogy work more complete. Trick or treat developed gradually as people shared customs, adapted them to new surroundings, and found safe ways for children to celebrate. The holiday grew along with American neighborhoods and continues to bring families together each year. When you save stories and photos of Halloween in your family, you preserve details about community life, childhood, and togetherness. These details make family history real and memorable. If you've got a hard-to-find ancestor you're stuck on, I'd love to hear about it. Just head over to ancestralfindings.com and click on Contact to send me a message. While you're there, take advantage of our free weekly genealogy lookups. Explore thousands of articles and enjoy hundreds of podcast episodes. We've been helping family history researchers since 1995. And if you're looking for even more, check out our Genealogy Gold Q&A series over on Patreon. Thanks for listening, and as always, happy searching.